Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Path of Exile tutorial, part 2. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is actually the second attempt at making this video, because the first attempt, which I may or may not release on YouTube, had no audio. OBS messed up, and the entire recording was basically ruined, so it's a ghost town. So, today, we're going to be talking about another money-making strategy for players who are a little more experienced, a little further into the league. Maybe you're on your second character, maybe not. Today we're going to talk about bossing. Now, this league, whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you think there's no loot on the ground, whether you think it's just hidden by your filter, no one can disagree that loot from bosses, loot from non-mapping mechanics, is more valuable than it has been in a very long time. Look no further than for the prices of Elder Fragments, Shaper Fragments, well, okay, not really Shaper Fragments, no one likes Shaper, Uber Elder Fragments, things of that nature. Really profitable. Now, in a previous video, I showed you how you can take Elder maps, give them to your mappers in Kingsmarch, and they will spit out Elder Fragments. These are pretty good. These will give you a boss fight against an enemy who is fairly easy to kill even on low budget builds, with a guaranteed drop of an Uber Elder Frag that costs almost as much as the 4 fragments used to fight him. Not always, but it will be close enough where, combined with the uniques that you can then turn into dust with ROG, you will get a profit. And then every now and then, I believe it's every 1 in 4 fights, you'll get a Watcher's Eye, which if you leave it unidentified, you can sell on the market for about 100 chaos or so, making you definitely in the profit, in fact, doubling your money. And then every 1 in 10, 1 in 8, something like that. You can also get an Orb, which once again, when sold on the market, is 400 or 500 chaos, so huge profit potential for those. But those fights do get boring very quickly. So what can you do instead? Well, in my original video, I talked about, though none of you could hear, Conquerors. Now, the reason why we're going to do Conquerors specifically is because, if I can find one here real quick, I know I got one. Right. The Conquerors themselves drop a fragment that is worth as much as or more than the map that you completed. But additionally, if you witness this, you can do these. Maven's Invitation. Now, I am going to give a real quick refresher on the invitations, which ones suck, which ones don't, at time of recording. The Formed sucks. The reason why the Formed sucks is because to do the actual maps themselves, it takes you a minute to get to the boss. You can't just instantly blink to the boss, kill the boss. You have to have a really fast build for something like that. And even if you do, the Pit of the Chimera is a phased boss, takes a while, it's really annoying. It's quick, they're easy, they're not very hard to kill, just DPS checks on 3 of them, and then the 4th one is kind of whatever. But ultimately, it's just a pain. And again, the rewards are not that good. So, that is that one. The next up is the brand new one, which was actually just added, and that is the Remembered. Now, at the time of recording, the Remembered fight is, it's not hard, but it's not very rewarding either. The Courtyard of Wasting, Chambers of Impurity, and Theater of Lies, they just are kind of whatever. The Moment of Reverence, however, which is used in the Feared, isn't. It is a pretty decent fight, but it's also a really expensive fragment, and we'll cover that in a minute. So the Remembered is doable, but the only way to really do it is a real pain in the butt of grinding out maps till you find memory threads, and then fighting the bosses in those, which is like another 5 maps. It's not worth your time. Next up, we have the Twisted. The Twisted sucks. The Twisted sucks not because the maps suck. In fact, the maps are super nice and easy. The Twisted sucks because it is a normal T16 map. You get to the boss, and you wait. And wait. And wait some more. 30 seconds later, congratulations, the Elder has now given you your portal to your boss fight. You get in, and you wait. And now the boss has spawned. And then you kill the boss's first phase, and then you wait. And then they teleport you, and then you wait. It's just a whole lot of wasted time, resulting in several minutes on an average encounter of just wasted time, and it's just unfun. The rewards are okay. The rewards can be quite decent. So you can get, again, more Elder Fragments, which are good for fighting the Elder if you care for that. You, of course, can get the Awakener Gems and the Splinters and stuff like that. But, truthfully, doing the Elder Guardian maps themselves, fighting the boss, not fun. Next up, we have the Forgotten. The Forgotten is very good to start. The maps themselves are super cheap, usually costing 4 or 5 chaos at the time of recording. The boss, the actual invitation is relatively easy. The bosses don't have any phases or anything really gimmicky. You know, the problem is the rewards are just not there. The rings themselves, which you will see here, they don't sell. If you get a jackpot +1 power charge ring or something fun like that, yeah, it can do good. But that's a pretty big if, right? So, all in all, the Forgotten, not that great. The maps themselves, though, are extremely good experience. So if you're trying to level up quickly, by all means, run the Synthesis maps. But as for the invitation, as for the bosses themselves, they can drop Cortex, and that's basically the only thing that they're going to drop that really matters, is the Cortex map, which does sell for like 50-60 chaos. But mid-league, that's kind of chump change. Next up, we have the Feared. The Feared is great. The Feared is amazing. The Feared is not for everyone. The Feared is very difficult. The Cortex map is fairly easy, just like the rest of the synth maps. The boss is a little bit slower, but it's just a DPS check. Just burn him down, burn him down, burn him down. No big deal. Sirus. Sirus is cancer. Everybody hates Sirus. I get it. We'll come back to Sirus, actually. The Moment of Reverence. You are looking at 2+ divines at the time of recording. It's actually probably like 1.5, but you're looking like 2 divines to buy the fragment for that boss fight. So 60C for a Vortex, 50-60C, 80 or more chaos for the Sirus fight, and then 2 div for the Moment of Reverence. And then finally, you have the Shaper's Realm and the Elder. Now, if you're smart, you will actually do both of these at the same time by doing Uber Elder. That's because the Uber Shaper fragments cost 20 and 30C respectively. The Uber Elder fragments cost between 50 and 75. So again, you are looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 divines. That puts every Feared you do north of 4 divines in cost, and you have to run at least 5 boss fights. Well, 4 boss fights, 5 if you do Uber Elder instead. Or 5 boss fights if you don't do Uber, 4 if you do, sorry. That's a lot of time, that's a lot of effort. But you can get a lot of really good rewards. So again, if your build can do it, and you don't mind these fights, go for it. Now, next up, we do have my favorite, and the one that will be the subject of today's video, the Elder Slayers. Now, real quickly, we are just going to go ahead and go through and show why this is the one for you. Now, the Elder Slayers are, just like the Elder Guardian maps, a standard issue T16 map. That means you just go in, you find the boss, you do have to kill the boss, unlike the Elder map itself, so you do have to find it and kill it, and then once you do that, it opens up a portal to the boss, the final boss arena. Okay, note to self, I have to take these off because I am running my auras. These are for something different anyway, so we'll cover that in another video. Alright, let's try this again. So yeah, you go in, you find the boss, you kill the boss, you do that, you get to go fight then one of the Elder Slayers. The Elder Slayers themselves are, frankly, pretty easy. As you can see here, if you do this with Destructive Play, the bosses that are spawned can and will drop extra free maps like this. And then you just simply go in, find yourself the Elder Slayer arena, and he's dead. Oh, look at that. Nice drop. Right? So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I didn't bring a portal because I am, well, bad, and this is the second attempt at this video. So we're going to run all the way back here and we'll grab some portal scrolls. But yeah, in and out, just like that. Activate another one, away you go. And I'll show you something kind of cool here. When you go to do a map that is Maven witnessed, but you've already done it, like this one. Like you guys have just seen, I just completed this map while it was witnessed by the Maven. Therefore, it can't be witnessed again, right? That's not the case. As you can see here, this guy is not the map boss of this map. He showed up, he dropped an influence map. What do you know? The reason why this is because as long as the Elder Slayer inside the map has not been witnessed, the map bosses themselves count as, quote, not witnessed for the Maven. They are in fact actually witnessed, and you will not get extra completion, but that doesn't really matter. All you really care about is the fact that the Maven will summon an extra boss for you to kill, or extra 3 bosses if you fully clear a map, the fast way out, whatever. So you throw in the next one, you go in, you repeat this process. We are going to real quickly do all 4 of these and then show you the invite itself and why the invites can be pretty profitable. And then we have one last thing to talk about on the list for bossing. So there we go, killed the 3 bosses. This is the extra boss. It didn't drop anything good. We go in and now we get to kill Al-Hazim. Now my build does have a fair amount of single target DPS, but it's not optimized. I know it looks like it's pretty optimized with how quickly I killed him, but I assure you, I am maybe 50, 60 million DPS at the moment, until I can complete my Mage Blood, and then I have to change jewels and all kinds of stuff, and I won't be doing like instant kills or anything like that. But I am pretty quick. Trappers, miners, things like that. Ballista builds, several minion builds, like the new Animate Guardian build that I've seen popping around, which is pretty cool, I gotta admit. Those all can kill bosses, single target bosses, really, really quickly. Alright, so they're all dead. Here he is. He's dead, cool. Alright, we'll just go ahead and finish off Veritania here. Now, I will note that, as you can see, you will get the special Exalted Orbs. Like these can be pretty profitable. We'll go ahead and take a look at it real quick while we get the actual invite set up.
That's the trail.
Forgot to restock him. Do some of these, do some of these. Okay.
Long day.
Alright, so we do roll our invites, but you don't have to. You can do them white. Oh wow, we got to 70% on the first one. And I also throw an Exalted Orb on it because I don't care. The higher the item quantity is, the more loot you will get from each of the Elder Slayers in this encounter. This is important because not only do they each have a chance of dropping their respective Exalted Orb, they will also drop one of these div cards, and they can even drop their boss fragments. And these boss fragments, again, are worth between 20 and 35 chaos. So along with that, of course, you can also get synthesized maps and some other stuff. But you can, if you're feeling kind of risky, you can do the map up, hit it with an ALK and then go ahead and vol it and try and get the 8 mod versions. I don't do this because unfortunately there are mods I cannot run. And if I hit those mods, then I can't do it. So we go ahead and just kill that first one, kill the second one. Drox might fall here. There goes Drox. And there goes Veritania. And that's it. And just like that, we got a shield. It isn't worth anything. We got 6 splinters. We got an awakened gem. We get Maven chisels, which can happen. You do get influence loot like this. Boots. Hunter boots are worth picking up. Any of the jewelry is worth picking up. Certain shields are worth picking up. Body armor, if it's Crusader, is worth picking up. These can be recombinated. They can be used for various things, so it's almost always worth picking them up. Now, I will go ahead and say that we got extraordinarily lucky here. We got 3 Exalted Orbs in just 1 invite and 4. That never happens. You might get 1 Exalted Orb from 4 fights plus an invite. So, no bait here, no clickbait, none of that jazz. Just letting you know. This doesn't normally happen. You also want to make sure that you don't sell to the buy orders, but instead look. This thing is worth $239 to whoever wants to buy it. So I will go ahead and list mine at 235. I'll put it up there, and it will sell relatively quickly. This is worth 92. I put it at 91, or at 90, and I list it. Hunters are 244. I put it at 240. Boom. Just like that, we have over 500 chaos worth of Exalted Orbs up on the market. They will sell relatively quickly. We can go ahead and price check the Awakened Cold Pen and see what it goes for. Oh, I need to redo that. 20C, but let's see what it is on Instant Buyout, because that's all people care about anymore. 30C, it's about the same price as all the rest of them, so you can get 30C from that. The map, not worth anything, but the synthesis map you get, you can save it, you can run it, whatever. The Delirium Orbs, those are worth something. I did not want to put that in that tab. We will go ahead and do this. And, oh, I got a Strategist. That's actually kind of cool. I have not seen that card from this before, so I have no idea what it's worth. We're just going to go ahead and put it here for now and deal with it later. And then finally, you have the Crescent Splinters. If you just roll 70% on the invite, get 5 mods, which only takes you maybe 5-10 chaos to do, you will get 5 splinters at least. Sometimes you'll get 6, but it's usually 5. Each of these splinters is currently worth 8 chaos. So 5 splinters is 40C. That means that the invite at a bare minimum is giving you 40 chaos for free every time you do it. Pretty quick, pretty easy. You are also getting chisels. Some chisels are worth 8 chaos, some chisels are worth 30 chaos. So it's just kind of RNG on what you get there, but we're going to go ahead and just put this loot in here for now, and we'll deal with it later. T16.5 map, we don't really care. I'm not even going to count it in my loot. In fact, it's going to go in here. We got 1 free map. We'll come back to this. Elder Guardian map, which we will come back to. We're going to go ahead and put it in its own tab here. And a synthesis map. Now, finally, we have the fragments. This is where most of this money will be. Yes, we did just get 500 chaos in Exalted Orbs. Yes, we got another 30 here, another 60 there, blah, blah, blah. All good money. Excellent. But the real money is this guy right here, cracking his skull. Now, in the previous video, I showed you 1,200 chaos worth. 1,200. That was a full 15 sets of Conqueror or Elder Slayer maps, right? So the Conqueror maps. Those 15 maps resulted in actually 20 Sirus fights because I got free fragments and free maps, right? Plus about 30 or 35 Conqueror, Synthesis, Elder Guardian, etc. maps. With the exception of the synth maps, I fed all those to my mappers in King's March, and those fragments you saw at the beginning of the video, they all came from those mappers. So, pretty decent. Now, the Sirus fight itself is not hard. He's got 4 phases, but every single one of them is just basically a DPS check. He comes down, you blink over on top of him, you do your damage, and that's it. He's now phased. Now, I like to actually have him push me up, back towards the original entrance at the start. That is personal preference because I know I have this open space. You can choose to have him push you downwards if you want. Phase 2, you go run right underneath him again. Nice and easy, simple. Pop your graft, pop your DPS buffs, whatever they happen to be. Find him. I unfortunately lost him there for a moment, so my damage is extremely limited. I have to use my Arcane Cloak to do all my damage. So if I miss him and he blinks somewhere and I don't see it, I basically have to wait for the whole cooldown before I can go back in. Alright, here we go again. Get underneath him again. After the second one, I like to try and do the opposite. I like to try and go... Oh, where did he go? There he is. Oh, he did a meteor. Meteor maze. There we go. On the third one, I like to have him push me this way, because again, this should all be open once you get down here. This is just my personal way of doing it. If you know a better way, by all means, do it. And now we have the final phase. Final phase, he does heal. He comes back up to whatever health. I don't know. I don't care. I think it's 60% or something like that. Alright. We'll go ahead and pop this. And he's dead. And that was it. The end. Fight's over. Right? It took a couple minutes. He drops his unique sometimes. He drops various influence gears sometimes. But the big thing that he dropped, which he unfortunately didn't drop any on this one, it sucks because in the original video, I dropped both orbs in the fight that I showcased, which, you know. The big thing that he drops is the Awakener orb, which at time of recording cost 730. They were actually 800 last night when I made the original video, but still 700 plus chaos for one orb. This orb is either a 1 in 5 or a 1 in 10 chance to drop. I can't remember. The other orb is the mirror. So one's 1 in 5, the other is 1 in 10. And that orb is this, the Orb of Dominance, which at the time of recording, 580 chaos. Each of these orbs by themselves is basically half of your total investment in a set of 15 Sirus fights, or a set of 15 Conqueror maps. So as you just saw at the beginning of this video, which is 20 minutes ago now, I loaded up 4 maps while talking, making mistakes, died once or twice, did those 4 maps, then did a Maven invitation, and then did the Sirus fight itself. I did all of this in 20 minutes. If you're faster, if you are more skilled than I am, you will find that your times are much better. When you're doing a really good map layout, examples being City Square, Mesa, Atoll, even Canyon's pretty good, Beach is really good, you can get your maps done and kill the boss in 2 minutes, with one exception, and that is Drox. Drox has that forced invulnerability phase nonsense, but it's not really invulnerability because once he pulls the barrier up, he can still take damage. You do like 10% of his life, the barrier drops, and then you kill him, right? So he's annoying, and he takes a little longer, but the rest of them, child's play. Real easy. And look at that. 2 of my orbs have already sold. No big deal. Last thing we're going to talk about is the money. As I said, I did this for 15 or 1200 chaos worth, which is 15 maps, map sets, total of 20 actual fights. This money you see here, almost all of it came from that. 40 divine, I got a crown just like this right here, and what I did was I just identified the thing. I went ahead and did this number. I mean, this one's not going to be worth shit because it's only a 9% roll, but that's okay. I get it up to 4 sockets. I get it to a 3 color setup like that. I 4-link it, and then I just slap it with a vol. Boom. And just like that, it got a plus corruption. Is it a good corruption? Probably not. But if you hit +1 power charges specifically on any base of this helm, it does not matter. If you hit the +1 power charges, your helmet is automatically worth 5 divines or more. I hit 1 last night. I also hit this little helmet here, which I'm actually going to drop down to 5 div because I just don't care. I hit 1 last night, and it sold for 40 divines. 40. That is just ridiculous for one helmet.
Hello.
In addition to that, I gained 60 divines in just div. I might try to include a screenshot to this in the description. I might not. I'm kind of lazy. But 60 div just from the Sirus fights. That's just insane. So, or from the Sirus invitations and whatnot. I had a lot of Exalted Orbs, probably 10 total, split across the different types out of those 20 encounters. I had, I don't know, 7, I think, Orbs of Dominance or Orbs of Awakener's Orb, whichever one's the more common one. And it was ridiculous how much money I got. Because each one of those was, again, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, div. At 150 chaos a div, 750 chaos, that's 5 div. Just right there. That is more than paid for your time in doing this, right? So I am more than halfway to my Mage Blood. I will complete this next set right here. I will complete all of these. And what I plan to do is I plan to go ahead and just leave all the good loot, these chisels, splinters, which will become orbs, and then all of these div cards, I'll leave them all in here, in this tab. I am going to convert the chaos. Last time around, what I did was I bought 10 div, and then I left it sitting in Faustus here. I don't know if I'm going to do that this time around. Instead, what I'll probably do is I'll just make note of my chaos, or I'll buy a separate chaos tab, and then I'll just convert it all in one mass buy order in Faustus, but we'll see. So, here's 565, right? That is half of my investment. It cost me 1200C. Now, one last thing before we go. Okay, you go check out the map. You go check out the market. Let's say you're looking for City Square, right? So here's City Square map, and you want a Citadel, right? Okay, this should now show me all of them. Look at that. There are 80 for sale. Now let's say, like me, you're going to try and get all your maps for a good price. So you set your maximum price to 20 chaos. There are only 8. Only 8 that are 20C or less of this map type, right? Well, what do you do? Let's say there are none. There's no mesas, no city squares, no nothing. Well, this league in particular isn't very good for the high-end maps. But you have two choices. First and foremost, City Square is a tier 14 map if you have 2 stones. This means you can take the map farming setup, which is a 16.5 map rolled to 150% or more maps. You do this plus the cartography scarabs, and then whatever kind of content you're running that generates lots of mobs, whether that be Alva with champions, whether that be Blight with Blight Heart, whatever you're doing. You will absolutely print maps. But the conversion scarab is only a 1 in 4 to be Conqueror. So because of this, you will get a lot of Elder, Shaper, and Synth maps. The Elder and Shaper you can feed to your mappers, but the Synth maps you can't. So the Synth maps you're best off just either using them yourself and getting a little bit of free extra money. Maybe you can sell them, but they don't sell for much. So that is option number 1 to get the maps that you want. City Square being probably the best. Option number 2. Tier 16, you buy any map. Don't care if it's this. You go into your filters, you set the map tier to 16, and now look. There are 856 matches. The cheapest ones are 5C. You do one step further. You make sure you go into the miscellaneous tab. You set corrupted to no. This will be important. There's still almost 800 of them. If you're like me and you don't want to have to deal with people, set it to instant buyout. There's still 700, and there are only 12 chaos. This is almost half the price of what I would pay for a City Square map, right? So I would just buy a whole bunch of these toxic sewers, canyon, shore, whatever. Let's just, for the sake of argument, we'll go ahead and grab a shore real quick. I'll save this for the... Actually, I don't need to buy this map. I have one that I got a freebie on. That way I don't pollute my numbers. So I got this map. It's Underground River. Let's say it's pretty garbage, right? It is pretty garbage, actually. Well, Orb of Horizon. Now it's Arena, and it is now a Drox Citadel. Okay, I like this. Arena's a pretty good map. I mean, it's not really, but let's just say it was. Plateau. Plateau is a pretty good map. The bosses are super easy. The map itself is a little bit slow to run. It's about the same duration as running Strand, and you can get turned around, unlike something like Arena, but regardless, either Arena or Plateau is going to be your best bet for a tier 15 map. Plateau and Arena. Also worth noting, you can get Citadel and Fortress T17s from this. But let's say you have a tier 16. Well, what do you do for a tier 16? Well, Beach. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4 tier 16 maps. Natural tier 16 maps this league. So because of that, Beach is pretty good. You go ahead and you take your map, you hit it with some Orbs of Horizon. They cost next to nothing to buy if you don't have any. And eventually you stop when you hit Beach map. For tier 14, as you may have already seen, or maybe you didn't see. Let's see if I have a 14 here. I can just show. Here we go. For tier 14, it is race course. Now these maps here are all either city square, beach, atoll, canyon, or race course. If it wasn't one of those, I horizon orbed it until it became one of them. Race course layout's pretty easy. 3 bosses at the end that are pretty easy. No big deal, right? It's also a linear layout where you will kill stuff on the way. So this means when you go to get the maven, who summons an extra 1 to 2 bosses, she's more likely to summon 2 extra bosses for you. So a little extra profit potential. Again, arena and plateau are pretty decent. And then for tier 16, beach. Beach is one of the best layouts. It's completely linear. You can't get turned around. It's super fast. It's pretty open. So like tornado shot builds or random stuff like that. Any kind of projectile based build really does really well on this setup. So that's about it. You can do this rotation of sets into invite, into sirus fight. You can do it for hours and hours and hours. It's not terribly hard. It's not really boring either because the invites break up the monotony. As you just saw, Sirus himself is kind of a pushover if you have the DPS. If you have a lot of DPS, then you will absolutely blow him apart. If you are, say, I don't know, a damage over time build, maybe it's not for you, right? And of course, Calling Strike is your friend. Every one of those invitation bosses, when you fight the invitation, Calling Strike on them, 10% less life. That's almost removing an entire invitation boss. But anyways, that's enough of that. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for future videos, also please leave a comment. Tell me how I sound. I went into OBS and after fixing the microphone so that it was actually recording, I went ahead and boosted the audio by 40%. A lot of you have commented in past videos and sent me DMs saying, hey, the audio is super quiet, even though when I listen to it in playback and I listen to it on other devices, it sounds perfect. You guys say it's quiet. So hopefully this is better. Certainly should be a lot louder. I don't know about compression rates, but hopefully it's better. So let me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. I'm available on Discord. I'm also, of course, available in the comment section. I tend to read every comment. I may not reply to everybody, but I do read all the comments. And then I do have other videos in the playlist if you guys have questions that might be answered with some of those. Particularly things related to King's March has been a big focus of mine this league. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.